Welcome to the Madden CPU League Week 2 recap show. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in and recap all the games that went down in Week 2 of the Madden CPU League. We begin with the kickoff game on Thursday. Kansas City in Kansas City. Los Angeles would take the ball in this first quarter and score a touchdown. Austin Eckler running it in for the touchdown. LAC looking to get their first win after going to an overtime tie with the Raiders last week. Kansas City would kick a field goal in the second, and it would be good to tie the game, to make the game a 4-point deficit at 7-3. The Chargers would attempt a field goal right before halftime, and it would be good to make it a touchdown lead once again. That would go into halftime 10-3. Kansas City in the fourth would finally answer back. Throws a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce to tie the game. All they would have to do now is get the PAT, and it would be good. And the game would go to overtime. Kansas City would have the ball first, but would throw an interception to Los Angeles. And Los Angeles would have the chance to win the game, but they would have to punt. Mahomes would have the ball again, but they would fumble the ball. The pass was caught, but it would be fumbled. And now the Chargers would have it in the Chiefs' territory in the red zone. And they were in position, and a field goal for the win in OT following the fumble. It is up, and it is good, and Kansas City falls to 1-1, and Los Angeles finally gets their first win of the season after going to an overtime tie with the Raiders. That is definitely a game of the week candidate, if I do say so myself. What a game in Kansas City. In Baltimore, Miami would get down the field but would get stopped short and would have to settle for a field goal in the first quarter, and it would be good to make it 3-0. Baltimore trying to come back from a shutout loss to the Jets last week, and Lamar Jackson would throw an interception. Both people trying to make the catch, and the defender was the one who came up with it to make the INT, and the Dolphins would be in good position again, but the Ravens defense would hold, and they would have to settle for a field goal, and it is up and good. Baltimore in the second. Oh, and Lamar Jackson throws another pick, and that one would actually be a pick six. Lamar Jackson throwing 2 INTs in the first half, and that one was a pick six. Lamar Jackson would have the ball again and would only throw another INT, and that was in the first half. 3 first half interceptions for Miami, and the Dolphins were just running wild on Baltimore all night long. Would kick a field goal with 40 seconds left before halftime, make the game 16-0, and the Dolphins would take the lead. And as you can see, that game shaped up. Baltimore in the fourth quarter would avoid a shutout by throwing a nice pass that would go all the way for a touchdown, avoiding a second straight shutout. Baltimore, they would not get the win, but at least they avoided a shutout. 16-6. If they would have got this 2-point, actually, they could have had a chance to get another 2-point conversion after a touchdown and tie the game, but they did not get it, and the game would go 16-6. Baltimore avoids another shutout, but still loses by 10. Dolphins are 2-0 on the season. Great game over there for the Dolphins. In Cleveland, it would be in the first half, in the second quarter, when they would score their first points of the game. Nick Chubb with his first rushing touchdown of the season to make it 7-0 following the PAT, which was good. Zach Wilson would snap it in his end zone, but would get pressured and he fumbled it in his end zone, and the defense recovered it for a touchdown. Taven Bryan with that defensive play for the touchdown. And the Jets would get shut out. A week after shutting out Baltimore, karma would strike, and they would get shut out 14-0 to the Browns. The Browns are 1-0 on the season after going to an overtime tie with the Panthers and avenged that tie tonight. In Detroit, the Lions would be just like the Dolphins. They would fall short of scoring and have to settle for a field goal to make it 3-0. They took the lead on the Commanders, who were successful in their season opener, and so were the Lions, who were 1-0 after they shut out the Eagles, surprisingly, in their season opener. Baker Mayfield and the Commanders would march back and score a field goal of their own to tie the game at 3. Washington would throw Baker Mayfield nice touchdown pass to take the lead. John Bates with the catch, and Washington would take the early lead near the end of the second half. They would kick a field goal, attempted to cut the lead, to extend the lead up to 10, and it would be good. And it was now a 10-point score ball game. And that game would go to halftime 13-3. Washington in the third, though, would extend their lead once again. Baker Mayfield throws a nice touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin. Baker Mayfield, who I said in one of the halftime reports looks like a early season MVP candidate. And Jared Goff in the fourth would score to cut the lead to 10. The PAT that followed would be good. Jared Goff throws a pass. Oh, and they fumble the ball in the final minutes of the game. And Mayfield and the Commanders would recover with no timeouts left. Baker Mayfield would just take a knee, and the Commanders would go to 2-0. Rolling in the early season, 2 straight wins. It's still early, but Washington on the right path. In Jacksonville, the Jags 3rd and 12. Oh, and Trevor Lawrence throws an interception to Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore comes up with a pick, and the Colts would have it in the first minute of the fourth quarter, and they would take that interception. Josh Dobbs throws a nice touchdown pass, and they would take that touchdown. They would take that interception and turn it into 7 points for the Colts to take a 7-0 early lead, and the field goal would be up and good to make it 7-0. Jacksonville in the fourth would finally try to answer back, and they would successfully get the touchdown of their own to make it 6-7. Zay Jones with the touchdown. And the PAT would be good to make it 7-7, and we now would have a tie. The Colts need to answer back, and with 25 seconds left in the fourth quarter, they finally got it into the end zone. Jonathan Taylor takes it in to make it 13-7, and they would get the PAT, and the Colts would have the ball back, and they would just take a knee. 14-7 is the final. The Colts beat the Jags. The Colts are now also 2-0 on the season. In New Orleans, Tom Brady in the first quarter, over 2 minutes left, throws a nice pass to Mike Evans to take the early lead, 6-0. Mike Evans with a touchdown reception. 6-0 Tampa Bay. PAT would be good to make it 7-0. Tom Brady in the second would extend the lead. Look at that bomb pass to Chris Godwin for a touchdown. Tom Brady and the Bucks, after beating the Cowboys 31-14 in the opener, running it up on them. A one-play scoring drive. That's what Tom Brady is capable of. But late in the second quarter, New Orleans would kick a field goal, and it would be good to cut the lead to 11. Still down by more than a touchdown, but they would try to answer back. They would get another field goal late in the fourth to cut the lead to 8. But Tom Brady and the Bucks were able to hold on and survive, and extending the lead early helped them get that win. In Carolina, Cam Newton and the Panthers would strike first. 3 minutes left in the first. Touchdown pass from Cam Newton to DJ Moore for the touchdown. It would be 6-0, and the PAT that followed would be up and good. 7-0. 4-play scoring drive for the Panthers. Daniel Jones in the second throws. What a pass by Daniel Jones! And it was successfully caught in by Darius Slayton for the touchdown. What a play by the Giants. And the PAT that followed would be good. And we had a tie ball game in the second quarter. 12-play scoring drive, capped off by a nice play by Daniel Jones. Carolina would respond late in the second with a field goal, and it would be good to extend the lead to 3. Daniel Jones, though, and the Giants would get up the field 9 seconds in the first half, kicks the field goal, and it is good. And it would go, and that game would go to halftime, 10-10 as a tie ball game. In the third quarter, though, Carolina would attempt another field goal to take the lead once again, and it was good. A very long field goal right there, and it just barely went through. New York would kick another field goal of their own, and that would make it 13-13. Kicking decent long field goals in that one. That one, very good. And Carolina, though, with 20 seconds left, 4th and 1, would kick the field goal, make it 16-13 with 17 seconds left on the clock. And Daniel Jones, last play of the game, can he do a miracle? Throws, is caught, but it is nowhere near where he needs to go. And that game would be final 16-13. Cam Newton and the Panthers successful in getting a win after their overtime tie with the Browns in Week 1. And the Giants fall to 0-2 after losing to the Titans last week. In Pittsburgh, the Steelers would be on 4th and 1 late in the first quarter and would opt to kick the field goal. And it would be good to take the early lead 3-0 in that one against the Patriots, who were unsuccessful in their opener, but looking to get the win. The Steelers coming off a dominant beatdown of the Bengals, 31-8 in the season opener, gets another field goal right here in the second to make it 6-0. And the Steelers, not up by too much, only 6 points. The Patriots could easily answer back, but they would not be able to throughout most of the game. And third quarter with 2 minutes, kicked another field goal to extend the lead to 9. Now out of touchdown range for the Patriots, they would have no way to get back in it. And late in the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh would score a touchdown. Najee Harris just runs it in, make it 15-0. And surprisingly enough, that is how the game would end. The Patriots not getting a single touchdown on the board. The Steelers having another good defensive performance after beating the Bengals in what was probably one of the most shocking performances in Week 1. Steelers are rolling. In Los Angeles, Brock Purdy and Desmond Ridder both entering the game in different positions. Desmond Ridder in the first quarter throws a nice touchdown pass, got them down the field. The first drive of the game immediately takes them down the field and would score the touchdown and the PAT, the scoring summary, 8 plays for 76 yards. Desmond Ridder doing half and half. Desmond Ridder in the second, and he would throw a pick. Desmond Ridder would throw a pick to Los Angeles. Los Angeles coming off that incredible upset. Was it an OT? I honestly don't remember. They beat the Bills. I remember that. But however, enough of that. Brock Purdy would throw a touchdown pass to Allen Robinson, and the PAT would be good. We got a tie ball game in the second quarter, 7-7. Brock Purdy, like I said, and Desmond Ridder. Like I said, Desmond coming off suffering his first NFL loss. Brock Purdy coming off his first NFL win. Two rookies in different positions. You see right there, Desmond Ridder, another touchdown pass in the third to take the lead, and the PAT to take the lead, 14-7. Los Angeles, though, would respond back, and Cam Akers would take it in. I said this game, another strong game of the week candidate, I would say, from the way it went down. Tie game once again in the fourth, 14-14, 8 plays, 80 yards. Desmond Ridder in the fourth throws a interception, and that is going to be returned all the way. And he would throw a pick six, and the Los Angeles Rams, Bobby Wagner, with that defensive play, would take the lead 21-14. But Desmond Ridder, no fear, would take the immediate next drive and take it all the way up the field for the touchdown. And the PAT. And just like that, the game would be tied again. After the defensive mistake, Desmond Ridder just takes it back. In OT, the Rams would get it first, but would have to punt the ball. And Atlanta would have it. Desmond Ridder on 3rd and 7 throws an absolute monster pass that is complete to Drake London. And the Falcons were in position to win the game, but Desmond Ridder said, no, I want a touchdown, and he threw the pass, and that would prove costly as the clock would have run out, and that game would go to a tie. Desmond Ridder passes up on the opportunity to win the game with a field goal, and because of that, it ended in a tie. Better than losing, but still a tie. Like I said, you see the stats there. What a show by two rookies in that game. In San Francisco, the Niners, Trey Lance, in the first minute of the game, would throw a pick, a very weird pick. It looked like he was trying to pass to Deebo Samuel, but it was picked off by the Seahawks, and they would turn it over in the first minute of the ball game. The San Francisco defense would hold up, however, and they would have to settle for a field goal, which was good. Seahawks up early after falling to Russell Wilson and the Broncos in Week 1. And late in the first quarter, they would kick another field goal that was good to make the lead just a single touchdown. The 49ers could still come back at this part of the game, though. However, San Francisco in the third quarter would throw a touchdown pass. Why is my phone going off? DK Metcalf with the touchdown reception. Seattle and that would actually be reviewed. And it looked actually very hard to call, but they would indeed give it to DK Metcalf. The Seahawks would go for two to make it a two-touchdown game, and it would be caught. Now a two-touchdown game. The 49ers surprisingly trailing in this game. And the Seahawks would actually be in position to kick another field goal to make it 17-0, and it would be good. The 49ers shockingly actually being down 17 points in the second game to the Seahawks. Trey Lance, though, would avoid a shutout by scoring a touchdown in the final minutes of the game. And the PAT that followed would be good to make it 17-7, but with 1 minute on the clock, the 49ers were not able to pull out the win, and Geno Smith would go to the knee, and the 49ers would fall here in week 2. Seahawks avenge their loss to the Broncos by defeating the 49ers. In Dallas, a very exciting matchup between the Cowboys and the Bengals. The Cowboys would strike first, a touchdown pass to Michael Gallup, and the PAT would be up and good. It would be a 7-0 ball game in the second quarter. Joe Burrow in the first trying to make something happen for the Bengals, and instead throws an interception to Trevon Diggs. And the Cowboys would come up with the ball in the first. It's not looking good for the Bengals. The Bengals who got demolished by the Steelers defense, and that would lead to another touchdown in the second. Dalton Schultz with the touchdown reception. 14-0 the Cowboys. The Bengals, after getting shut out, well, not shut out, but 31-8 loss to the Steelers, and Dak Prescott would have the ball again late in the second and would throw another touchdown pass to Dalton Schultz. And this was just the first half. Like I said, 20-0 in the first half, and the Bengals once again just having a not good on offensive performance. 21-0. AT&T Stadium was rocking. They would finally kick their first points at the end of the first half to avoid a shutout, but it would still be 21-3 at halftime, which was not a good stat lead. And that game would end 24-3. Cowboys only getting one more field goal, but like I said, just another bad offensive performance from the Bengals. No other really way to put it, and they would fall again. After losing to the Steelers 31-8, they lose to the Cowboys 24-3. In Denver, the Broncos would have it. 1 more minute left to go in the first quarter, and Andrew Beck would take it in for the touchdown. That was the Broncos' opening possession that they would immediately take back, and the PAT would be good. 7-0, an immediate touchdown on the opening drive. And in the second quarter, with 1 minute left, they would kick a field goal, and that would be good to make it 10-0. The Texans and the Broncos after beating, and Russell Wilson and the Broncos after defeating Geno Smith and the Seahawks, his former team. And that game would go to halftime. Oh wait, no, they actually missed the field goal. They would actually miss the field goal, and that game would go to halftime 10-0. And in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, the Broncos would kick another field goal to make the lead 13-0. And then Russell Wilson would take the knee, 13-0, a shutout on the Texans. Broncos roll to 2-0 over the Texans. In Vegas, the Raiders would take the first quarter lead with 40 seconds left. Josh Jacobs taking it in for the Raiders to make it 6-0. The PAT would be up and good, 7-0. Raiders in the second quarter. Derek Carr throws a very nice pass Darren Waller with the reception. What a nice touchdown pass throw from Derek Carr to Darren Waller to take the 14-0 lead. The Raiders were in control in that one. In the second quarter, they would score another field goal right before halftime to make it 17-0. And that would actually be the final scoring in that one, as they would achieve a shutout of the Cardinals. The Cardinals getting shockingly shut out. I thought they would perform better than that, but Derek Carr and the Raiders roll after getting the overtime tie last week. In Green Bay, the Packers would take the first half lead. In the second quarter, Aaron Jones runs it in for the touchdown to make it 6-0. It would be 7-0, and then the Chicago Bears would kick a field goal. The Chicago Bears would not score until the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers would hand it off to Aaron Jones again in the fourth, and he would run it in for his second touchdown of the night. Second rushing touchdown of the night for Aaron Jones. And Justin Fields, who was only down 11 points, would throw a pick six to Eric Stokes, and that would seal the win for the Packers with less than a minute left on the clock. That pick six would ultimately seal the win for Green Bay. Justin Fields and the Bears had a chance, a very slight chance, but they still had a chance if they didn't throw that INT. In Buffalo, it was a defensive battle all the way to the end. Malik Willis had the ball first, 3rd and 3, would throw an incomplete pass, and Tennessee would have to punt it away to the Bills. The Bills would have it, and Josh Allen on 2nd and 7 would just get sacked by the Tennessee defense. 3rd and 23 now for the Bills. And on that 3rd and 23, Josh Allen would only get sacked again probably for a record 4th and 37. And Buffalo would be forced to punt it back to Tennessee. Tennessee on 3rd and 17 would get sacked, and the ball would come out, and Von Miller would fall on top of it to recover it in Tennessee's territory. Josh Allen on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, throws an interception. Buffalo had the potential to take a 7-0 lead right there, and instead threw an interception. Josh Allen, and it would still be a 0-0 ball game. Malik Willis would get taken down again on 3rd and 8. And like I said, this game was just defensive performance all the way through. They would punt it back late in the second quarter. Tennessee would get the ball back, and with 10 seconds left, they would finally attempt their first score of the game, a field goal, and it would be good to make it 3-0 at the half. That game would go to halftime 3-0, almost blocked by the Bills' defense. It would continue to be a defensive performance until 1:51 in the fourth, where the Bills would attempt their first field goal, and it would be good to tie the game at 3. The Bills and the Titans going at it. It would be a tie ball game, very low scoring, and that game would go to overtime, 3-3. In overtime, Allen would be in position to score near their red zone, but the ball would come out and Tennessee would get it. And unfortunately, that turnover would give them the chance to win. Malik Willis in his own end zone. Von Miller pass rushes him, and the safety, and the Bills would win. Malik Willis, you see, trying to scramble. He did not notice Von Miller plow past that defender, and Von Miller just ran right past that defender and got right in his face, took him down, and the Bills would win that one in overtime, 5-3. Von Miller wins that game for the Bills. And what a game it was over there. That another potential game of the week candidate. You see there the stat line. A very good game until the finish. Titans just come up short. In Philadelphia, the Eagles back home after getting shut out by the Lions in week 1. Shockingly, Minnesota would take the lead 3-0. Surprisingly, I think a lot of people would have thought the Eagles would have came in and had the lead first. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, first quarter, throws an interception. And it was already not looking good for the Eagles, 3-0, and Jalen Hurts would throw a interception. Luckily, the defense would be able to stop them though, and they would have to settle for a field goal, which would be good, 6-0 to the Eagles. Still down by just a touchdown, the Eagles could easily get back into the game. However, the Vikings would get it back, and with 56 seconds left in the second, they would attempt another field goal to extend the lead past touchdown, and it would be good to make the lead 9-0. The Vikings and Kirk Cousins would throw a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to Adam Thielen. And just like last week, the Eagles would get shut out 15-0 again by the Vikings. Look now at these stats. As of week 2, after week 2, Desmond Ridder leads the league now in passing yards. Touchdowns belongs to Tom Brady, and Dak Prescott tied at 4. That's really about it. So Desmond Ridder leads it, and Tom Brady and Dak Prescott have the most touchdowns with 4, and Desmond Ridder leads it with 444 passing yards. Desmond Ridder had a monster game with Brock Purdy that game. I don't know if that's game of the week. Jonathan Taylor leads the league in rushing yards with 160. Rushing touchdowns belongs to Aaron Jones with 2. Now Najee Harris also has 2. Gotta see if anyone else has any more. Nah, I don't think so. So yeah, well, really, I don't really know. The touchdowns, like, you can't really see them because, like I said, the people who have less yards could be leading them. But Jonathan Taylor anyway leads the league in rushing yards. Robert Tonyan, the tight end of Green Bay, leads the league in receiving yards. Deontay Johnson close behind him. All the receivers are very close. Anyone could take over that spot at any time. Receiving touchdowns, a lot of people only have 1. It looks like a lot of receivers only have 1. Adam Thielen has 2, but a lot of receivers mostly have 1. We'll just say that he leads the league. If not, I will correct that. Blocking isn't really that important. At least not in stats. Devin Lloyd, hit defense, sack people. There's also some other leaders that we can look at. Jason Sanders, all the kicking, and that's really it for the player stats. Because no one really cares about punting and stuff. Actually, wait, you know what? I will go ahead and look at punting. So the most punts belong to Tennessee, and the least punts, that's what I'll say, belongs to Washington with only 1 punt. Wow, 1 punt from Washington. Yeah, oh, well, never mind, they're tied. Giants, that's crazy. Giants, Lions, and Washington have only had 1 punt. Yeah, but that is pretty much it for the player stats. I look now at the NFL team stats. So the Falcons lead in total offensive yards gained with 633, and the Colts still lead the defensive side of 171 total yards allowed. They also lead in third down conversions. The Colts seem like the best team so far this season. That's just stats. So, the Bengals are on top of the red zone trips, even though. Oh wait, no, there's more. Okay, so yeah, 5-1. Dang, the Bengals have only gotten in the red zone 1 time, which is understandable since they lost. A lot of teams still have no penalties. The team with the most penalties is Vikings with 65. What about turnovers? Dolphins lead that with 9 turnover differential. They only give one takeaway, one giveaway, and 10 takeaways. And the Dolphins are good. The Dolphins are really good at managing that. And they are 2-0 on the year. And that is pretty much it for the team stats section. I look now at the players of the week. Dak Prescott, 20 for 25, 228 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 sack, 4 carries, and 11 rush yards. Yeah, definitely worthy of the player of the week for week 2. Jonathan Taylor, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, 20 carries, 102 rush yards. Yeah, everything about that looks about right. NFC defense, Eric Stokes, who came up with the pick six that sealed the win for the Packers against the Bears on Sunday night. And Xavier Howard, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, and a touchdown. Wow, that's a great defensive stat line for Xavier Howard. And those are your players of the week. Look at the standings now. The Tampa Bay is at the top in number 1, 2-0. So the Bucks, Steelers, Packers, Dolphins, Colts, Broncos, and Commanders are all still undefeated. The Chargers are undefeated still. Yeah, we'll count these. Yeah, the Raiders, Rams, Panthers, and Browns and Chargers are also undefeated. They have not lost a game. They've only had the tie games that they had. The Browns and the Panthers, the Chargers and the Raiders, and then the Rams and the Falcons this week. The Seahawks are one. All these teams are 1-1. A lot of teams are 1-1 falling. And the teams that are 0-2 are still yet to win a game. Eagles, number 32, very rightfully so after getting shut out twice in a row. Cardinals lost 2 in a row. All these teams, and those are in there. That's just a look at the standings going into week 3. And that is going to do it for the week 2 recap show. Be sure to tune in this Thursday for the Steelers and the Browns on Thursday at that exact time on the screen, as we are still following the NFL, the real life latest NFL season schedule. So all these teams be playing this week at these times.